Whether our cells work with us or against, one thing is certain: we are tirelessly working for them. Since we woke up, our heart has beaten more than 20,000 times, bringing vital oxygen to 100 trillion microscopic masters. But it takes more than air to feed the machine. It takes fuel. Every time we swallow a morsel of food, we set it on a journey designed to suck everything useful out of it. Sit down to lunch, and in the 30 or so hours and 20+ feet it takes to digest it, we convert plants or animals into energy and absorb their chemical building blocks into our own flesh and blood. Carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals. All of our nutrients come from what we eat. Digestion actually starts before food crosses our lips. Just the idea of food can get our mouths to water. We salivate roughly a pint every day. And in that saliva are enzymes that, along with our teeth, begin to break the food we eat down. But not before we get to savor it first. Some 10,000 taste buds line our tongues, each one home to about 50 taste receptor cells that tell the brain what we're eating. And in case you scorch some of those precious receptors off, not to worry. Wait a week to 10 days, and you'll grow back a brand new set. Once the muscular tongue maneuvers food into our esophagus, we're on autopilot. If it looks familiar, we've been here before. There's the voice box again. When we eat, a flap of skin called the epiglottis seals off our windpipes. Except when it doesn't. Then it's back to the beginning. A typical journey down the esophagus takes all of about 5 seconds. From here on out, it's squeezed like toothpaste. Once it passes into the stomach, as it's doing here, it's time to slow down a bit and digest. Normally, this stretchy J-shaped bag isn't much bigger than a fist. But after a big meal, it can expand to more than 20 times that size. For the next several hours, highly acidic gastric juices spew from the stomach's walls, breaking down proteins in our food, while muscle contractions knead and churn it into pulp. The acid here is so strong, the stomach must continuously secrete a layer of protective mucus so that it doesn't digest itself. It absorbs very few nutrients, though. For that, we pass into the 20-foot disassembly line of the small intestine with the help of a specialized camera pill. For some 5 hours, food's building blocks are pushed, prodded, sprayed with digestive juices, and wrung like a rag here, until its vital elements are forced through the intestinal wall and into the bloodstream. From here, just about all of our meal's nutrients will flow directly to the liver, the body's largest internal organ. The liver breaks down, repackages, and delivers nutrients to our cells for growth and power. Our bodies ultimately try to balance energy intake. But sometimes more goes in than out. The result? Fat. Here's how fat looks on the inside and on the outside. It doesn't take a lot of excess calories to make you gain weight. Just 15 more a day than you need, about the amount in 4 pistachio nuts, will add 1.5 pounds of fat over a year. Once the small intestine has taken in everything worth ingesting, the rest is pushed along to the large intestine. For another 20 hours or so, the last of the water is absorbed, and trillions of bacteria work to break down the remaining contents. In the end, anything we can't digest gets flushed out of our bodies. Food's complicated journey has a larger purpose. Once we've extracted what we need to feed the incredible machine and gotten our cellular engines humming, it's nothing short of astounding what we can do with them, thanks to amazing contraptions called muscle. The incredible human machine in action. Just about every body part, from our skin receptors to the balance center in our inner ears, help to make these amazing complexities of movement seem almost effortless, automatic even. But if we peer beneath our skin, we see that one tissue above all propels us into 1,000 different positions. From the soles of our feet to the tips of our fingers, some 650 muscles, about 40% of our body mass, power every move we make. As our day pushes on, these skeletal muscles lift us through it, usually without our thinking about it. Without them, we couldn't run, or blink, smile, or speak for that matter.
Hello?
Just muttering a single word.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Involves muscles in the face, lips, tongue, jaw, larynx. As many as 100 muscles. Many of the same muscles let us form a frown, turn them upside down, and all 34 muscles in the face let us deliver a kiss. Walking. A highly coordinated series of falls that we've taken for granted since we were toddlers. Requires no fewer than 200 skeletal muscles. Back muscles to keep you from falling forward. Abdominal muscles to keep you from falling back. It takes 40 or so muscles just to raise one leg and move it forward. Now add to that running, swimming, shooting, riding, and swashbuckling, and you get an inkling of how many different muscles are at work inside of Eli Bremer, top-seeded U.S. Olympic pentathlete.
I think what I do is very normal, and someone will ask what a typical training day is, and I'll tell them, I'll swim about 4 miles and run about 10 miles. You know, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I think anybody could do it. And then I get this weird look like, you must be crazy.
So, what propels him? If we zoom in on one of these muscles in motion, and closer still at the hundreds of muscle fibers that run its length, we find 2 proteins, actin and myosin. And their actions couldn't be simpler. They link up, squeezing together like cogs on a wheel, and they relax, releasing their grip and going back to normal. That's it. If, during a fencing bout, Eli wants to strike his opponent, the actin and myosin in his triceps bind, while in his biceps they release. When he winds up for another blow, the opposite happens. Now his biceps bind and his triceps release. From this back and forth on all our skeletal muscles, we get our every motion. And at the U.S. Olympic Committee's training center in Colorado Springs, scientists push our movements to their limits. At more than 6,000 feet above sea level, people here have about 20% less oxygen available to breathe. Their bodies compensate for this deficit automatically by producing more oxygen-carrying red blood cells, a very good thing for an athlete.
By increasing the number of red blood cells, we're increasing the body's capacity to carry oxygen and provide greater amounts of energy, and thus run faster, swim faster, etc., particularly when you go down to sea level.
The downside to high-altitude training is there isn't enough oxygen around to deliver. That's why when he trains, Eli often looks like Darth Vader.
The additional oxygen saturates his blood to a greater degree, and that in turn provides that additional oxygen to his working muscles, so he can now run just as fast as if he were in Miami, Florida. If we took that apparatus off, he would slow down appreciably and run about 10% slower than he is right now.
It may not sound like much until we consider that less than 1/2 of 1% can separate 4th place from Olympic gold.
And 3, 2, 1, go.
Whether at high altitude or at sea level, the more we work our muscles, the more actin and myosin we make, the bulkier our skeletal muscles become. As Olympic hopeful Doreen Fullhart demonstrates. To lift, her brain sends electrical impulses down nerves to muscle fibers, telling the actin and myosin to bind and release.